Lieutenant McGee, do you find it surprising that British policemen aren't armed?
I not only find it surprising, I think it's sort of ridiculous.
What happened if your gun was taken away from you?
I don't know how we could possibly enforce the law here. I wouldn't want to be a policeman.
Do you take it with you when you go out at night?
Yes, we're supposed to have it with us at all times.
Would you have a fancy one for a handbag?
No, we carry the same one we have now.
Have you ever had to use it?
No, not so far. I hope that if it's necessary, I'll use it with all the precautions they've taught me.
The odds are that the ordinary London policeman will serve his whole career without ever being confronted by an armed criminal. In New York, a cop sets out on his beat expecting that he'll have to deal with a potential killer before the day is over. In New York, the patrolmen approaching a suspect car assume that the occupants are armed until they know otherwise. 190 of these men's colleagues have been shot to death on the streets of the city in the last 45 years. The American policeman must accept that what starts as a racial disturbance on a street corner can flare into a major gun battle within minutes. It's too late for words. Firepower is all that counts. At the New York Police Academy range in the Bronx, 34,000 men a year are taught to handle the weapons which are their everyday tools of trade.
Today, gentlemen, we're going to fire the practical revolver course, which is designed to protect your life in the event that you get yourself involved in a gunfight in the street in New York City.
At this range alone, 45,000 rounds are fired every day. Each year, policemen, FBI men, and Treasury agents fire 5 million .38 revolver rounds and 3 million shotgun rounds.
All right, gentlemen, we'll assume the barricade position and commence firing when you get into it.
Lieutenant McGee, do you find it surprising that British policemen aren't armed?
I not only find it surprising, I think it's sort of ridiculous that you should employ police officers and expect them to chase armed and dangerous felons and not give them the proper equipment or the training to do their job properly.
What happened if your gun was taken away from you?
I don't know how we could possibly enforce the law here.
What about you yourself?
I wouldn't want to be a policeman. I don't think that if the people would trust me to properly equip me, then they wouldn't require my services. I would not be a policeman if I did not have the proper equipment to do my job right.
What do you think would happen here in New York City if the policemen weren't armed?
I have no idea. I think it would be a chaos. I think it would be a terrible situation. You would get more assaults upon police, more police would be injured, more would be killed.
But one of the arguments at home in Britain is that if you arm policemen, then the crooks are going to arm themselves so that they can, if necessary, shoot their way out of an ugly situation. Do you think that's true here?
I don't think so. I don't think that that is true at all. I think it has the reverse procedure. A police officer who is properly equipped and properly armed will deter a criminal from attacking him because he knows that if he does attack him, that he himself will be seriously injured. Outside of the service revolver, this is the only weapon which is used in the New York City Police Department. It's a 12-bore shotgun, and it's used on very, very rare occasions. Only 2 times this weapon is used. It's used to dislodge heavily armed, barricaded criminals, or it may be taken out and used when we await armed criminals, such as stakeouts or plants or that type of police actions. The other weapon which we do have in numbers in our department is the Thompson submachine gun. but quite frankly, this weapon, to my knowledge, has only been used once in 20 years, and that time it was used to dislodge heavily armed, barricaded criminals that were wanted for a number of bank robberies throughout the United States.
Do you teach your trainees here to shoot at a particular part of a man's body? Are they trained to shoot to kill?
No, this is another statement which is used quite often and it has no validity to it. We don't train anybody to kill anybody at all. But the police officer uses his weapon as the ultimate, the last ditch, the last weapon that he uses in the escalation of force. And he only uses it to place the person who he is engaging in a non-retaliating condition.
The girls on New York City's force must be able to handle a gun too.
Support your wrist and fire when you're ready. Steadily now. Keep pressing. Very good. Continue the cadence.
Even doing clerical work in the heart of a police headquarters office, the girls must always wear their guns. I asked one of them if it didn't feel strange carrying a gun about with her all the time.
Well, I'm used to it now. In the beginning, it took a little getting used to. But it's necessary.
Do you take it with you when you go out at night or when you're off duty?
Yes, we're supposed to have it with us at all times.
Do you have a fancy one for that, for a handbag?
No, we carry the same one we have now.
Isn't that a bit heavy, carrying it around in a normal handbag?
Well, it's a little heavy, but I've gotten adjusted to it. I'm used to carrying a large pocketbook anyhow, so it hasn't made that much difference.
What do you do with it at night? Put it under your pillow?
No, we are taught to unload it and safeguard it and put it in a safe place and separate the bullets from the gun so that no one, especially if you have a family with children, to keep it out of reach of the children.
Have you ever had to use it?
No, not so far.
How do you think you feel if you did have to?
Well, I don't know. I haven't come across it, but I hope that if it's necessary, I'll use it with all the precautions they've taught me.
If the time does come, the constant practice these girls put in could save their lives. Scenes like this, unarmed British police hunting Harry Roberts, wanted in connection with the murder of 3 London detectives last month, amaze their American counterparts. The Americans doubt that the few British detectives who are occasionally armed get sufficient training in how to use a gun. But it'll take more than expressions of surprise or skepticism from across the Atlantic to persuade most British policemen that ours is still not the best way.